first up, let me ask you, did you expect the collapse of the Afghan state to happen in the manner that it did? And what is your impression of the manner in which the former President Ashraf Ghani left the country?
I don't think this is the right time to reflect on that massive tragedy.
I appreciate that, Mr. Saleh. But let me ask you this then. Who do you blame for the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan and why? And what do you think will be the ramifications of Taliban's Kabul takeover, both for Afghanistan and for the world at large? Do you see Afghanistan, and are you apprehensive that Afghanistan could become the breeding ground for terror?
It's very clear the Taliban were never under pressure in Pakistan. They used Pakistan as a support base. They were not having sanctuaries there. The whole of Pakistan was in the service of the Taliban. United States tried to incentivize the Pakistani cooperation to buy it. The more they paid, it more emboldened the Pakistanis to provide more services and more aid to the Taliban. So the issue of a nuclear state sponsoring terrorism and insurgency against our Western allies and the Afghan state was never addressed. The second reason is the Doha talks legitimized the Taliban. And the Taliban did not remain loyal to their words. They did not honor their commitments, and they fooled the whole international community. The purpose of the Doha office was to keep the international community divided, keep them hopeful for a peace process which did not exist, but they were investing on military conquest, and Pakistanis were backing them wholeheartedly, and it was an unwavered support. So that's reason 2. Reason 3, in the last 2 years, the Republic came under enormous pressure from our American allies. There came a time they blackmailed us. They said, if you either you release the prisoners or we will cut aid to you. We will decrease our military assistance to you. We will entirely cut it. And we said, are you sure these people do not end up back in the front lines? And their answer was no. Whereas they all ended up in the front lines. So it was not prisoner release. It was gifting the Taliban a division of highly radicalized fighters. And the fourth reason is there were people in our government who were not aware of the situation, who were taking everything for granted. And they were landed politicians. Anyway, again, it's not the right time to focus on that.
Yeah.
But we cannot confine it to these 4 reasons. There are numerous reasons which led to this tragedy. The bottom line is NATO is gone, U.S. military is gone, but the Afghan people are not gone, and the Afghan people cannot be evacuated. Kabul airport is tip of an iceberg. The country has sunk into a tragedy. Known terrorist groups have taken over Afghanistan. Today, for example, a money launderer who was facilitating transactions between Al-Qaeda sympathizers and the Taliban has become chief of the Afghan governor of the Afghan Central Bank. Haqqanis are running Kabul, and needless to explain who the Haqqanis are. This is a shame, and this is a betrayal, and I don't want to be part of that shame. I don't want to be part of that betrayal. We will fight. We will fight until the enemy believes and comes to a conclusion that Afghanistan should remain Afghanistan and it should not become Talibanistan.
And there are many in Afghanistan who salute that spirit, who endorse that spirit that you've just espoused, Mr. Saleh, because we saw that on display across Afghanistan on the 19th of August when they said that they will not compromise on the flag. But let me ask you this. What do you think of the American attitude and behavior during this entire episode? Their sudden departure and leaving so many arms, ammunition, huge tranches of cash, and now reports suggesting that all these arms and ammunition has been taken by Pakistan to Quetta.
They are watching what they did on TV screens, and they are seeing how the world media is now dominated by negative anti-American headlines. United States is a civilization, it's a global power, it's the mightiest military power on earth, and we never wish them bad. But this shows a single wrong political judgment humiliates a superpower like the United States. It wasn't ever about the American military or about the American intelligence. It was the wrong judgment of the politicians, and I think they have started to pay the price for their wrong decision.
Yes, and in hindsight, there is no doubt that there has been gross miscalculation on part of the US as far as the Taliban threat and what they can do. But there has to be a certain amount of blame that has to be shouldered by the erstwhile government too. You were first vice president in the Ashraf Ghani administration. Why couldn't you, your officials, assess what was happening on the ground?
If a superpower decides to go this way or that way, there's so little or nothing we could do to change their attitude or change their direction. I do accept that I have been a major player and I still continue to be a person of significance. But did we have any say in the U.S. decision? Did we have any say in the U.S. way of negotiations with the Taliban? No, because they did take note of what we were saying, but we did not manage to influence their decisions. What is happening in Afghanistan, we have been warning them of these type of consequences for 2 years, but we were ignored, and they are paying the price. Afghans are paying the heaviest price, and they are paying the price in terms of their reputation, their credibility, and the weight of their word, and the value of their words, and the value of their promises. This was a political decision. It was not military decision. It was not intelligence decision. We remain grateful to United States people, government, for all they did over the past 20 years. But this one political misjudgment has brought about this fiasco. It wasn't the Taliban who won this war. It was the lack of political will in Washington which led this scramble to happen.
But there is also this aspect of Afghan will. Back in the 90s, the Valley of Five Lions or the Panjshir stood resolute. You stand resolute there along with Ahmad Massoud, leading an armed resistance even now against the Taliban. And there are those who are taking heart from your resistance, Mr. Saleh. But there are reports that the Taliban have now sent hundreds of fighters to the valley. What is the situation? Are you safe?
It's perfect. We are in control. We are on top of the situation. I move around with minimum security. It's the people, and I mean this is an area which has an exceptional reputation.
Yes, it does, Mr. Saleh, and we've seen those visuals, very heartening ones, where you're playing volleyball with some of your people, and you seem to be very, very comfortable in your skin. Thank you very, very much for speaking to us here at CNN News 18. There are many who are taking heart from the resistance that's coming in from Panjshir, led by you. Thank you for speaking to us, Mr. Saleh.